Love lives here.
Good morning, Riverside. First of all, I want to take this time to acknowledge that our center is located on the unceded territory of the Cahuilla people. And I'm going, instead of just saying this, I want to tell you exactly what that means to me. And many years ago, I don't even want to think how many years ago, but it's probably 40 years ago, uh, there was a woman who approached me from India, and she said, I want to ask your permission to be on your land. And her name is Roshni. And that moved me so much, just to know that I was recognized. And in some sense, she was telling me, I am asking your permission, and I'm going to take care of the places that I walk. And it moved me to the center of my being. And needless to say, over the years, we have been the best of friends. We have become very close. We have just been in all kinds of situations together where we've uplifted one another, where we have forged this incredible bond just through her recognition and seeing me. So I just want to let you know that this is not an empty gesture. This is something that we can actually be changing our relationships with everyone by recognizing Indigenous territory and everything that we do. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood where this is coming from, that it is just not an empty gesture. Now, we have been working so hard these past several years on ourselves, right? We've been doing all kinds of things that have been so wonderful for our individual growth and development. And this year, we're reaping the benefits of it. And this year, we're focusing on the global theme, timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision. Last week, Reverend Jeffrey opened the year with a wonderful introduction to this theme, reminding us that the soul's journey is an ever-expanding upward spiral to greater and greater revelation of who we are as spiritual beings. We are truly expanding our understanding and commitment to spirit. I have been with many of you for the better part of the 17 years that I've lived in Riverside. And I have seen this expansion firsthand because I've been involved in this community. It's exciting and it's heartwarming to know that Riverside is on the leading edge of our movement. When I stepped into the center, what I realized is, I thought every Center for Spiritual Living was as diverse as ours. And that was just what I walked into. So we've been leading this idea of oneness for many, many years. And I know that all of those who came before us, those who have made their transition, are delighted by these changes and this expansion of the spirit, and they're cheering us on. And we have a multitude of our better angels speaking wisdom and holding the vision for us. If there was ever a time that we needed to explore today's top title, Grounded Beyond the Beginning, this is certainly it. We are all alarmed and saddened as we watch the events unfold at the Capitol on Wednesday. It's easy to forget that many of these people could be our neighbors and even family members who have been dining on a steady diet of lies, intolerance, and hate. over the past several years, and in fact, since the inception of this country. There's also an extreme armed right-wing hate element in this country who have organized and mobilized to capitalize on moments like this. Saying any of this does not excuse or absolve anyone from the consequences of their actions. We always have choice. But it does underscore how much the world needs the teachings of our movement. We know that what goes into our minds and takes root is destined to produce what is planted. We also know what we teach prepares us to meet every challenge with equanimity. It may not be instantaneous, but I have learned over the years that with spiritual practice, I return to the awareness of my oneness with spirit much more quickly than I did in the past. Equanimity helps me to respond responsibly, and it helps me to remember that love lives here. Now, just take a moment right now and touch your heart and say, love lives here. And feel that. Feel the change of vibration just in recognizing that and placing that at the center of everything that we do. The founder of religious science, Ernest Holmes, set out to synthesize the best thought of the ages to arrive at a golden thread of truth that connected them all. He began this project and continued with it his entire life. What he found was that world spiritual teachings affirm the oneness of the universe. Of course, he couldn't explore everything, and it is up to us to further expand our awareness of the spiritual teachings as we open ourselves to the one mind that is the ground of all being. Many of you know that I am an enrolled member of the Muskogee Nation. One of our sacred dances is both grounding and indicative of our upward journey. Our feet touch the earth and our bodies move in unison to create a spiral. Movement, voice, sound mingle to express the oneness of community and the cosmos. It is an enactment of reality. We are firmly grounded in spirit, and the movement of the spiral represents the upward journey and our connection with all that is. The ground of our being has been here before time, beyond any beginning. It is infinite. It is ineffable, which only means that it cannot be described in words. Our poets come closest to language that brings us to the feeling of being grounded beyond the beginning. The great 14th century Persian poet Hafiz captures something we need, especially in this time of violence and discord. Once a young woman said to me, Hafiz, what is the sign of someone who knows God? I became very quiet and looked deep into her eyes, then replied, my dear, they have dropped the knife. Someone who knows God has dropped the cruel knife that most so often use on their tender self and others. To use on their tender self and others. Are you ready to drop the knife? To awake in the heaven that we only hide from ourselves? I know I am. I have used the knife on myself more times than I can count. And I've turned that knife on others. And I just want to lighten this up a little bit when we're talking about using this knife on ourselves to bring us to something that we can do to play around with that knife that we often use on ourselves is the inner critic. That is probably the harshest critic that has ever spoken to us, right? And the inner critic for me has often been a cruel master, right? Julia Cameron, in her book, It's Never Too Late to Begin Again, suggests that you name your inner critic. And without bad feelings or any kind of bad feelings. Tame it. Have fun with it. Use your imagination. You might want to give a funny voice to go with the name or draw a picture of it. My inner critic is named after a junior high school teacher. I won't mention any names to protect the innocent. And I want to give you a little description of her and what she would do. She would often leave the room and peer into the window to see if she could catch us doing anything wrong. Now, this was a setup, right? When the teacher leaves the room, of course there's going to be some sort of misbehavior going on. But that's what she would do. She was also a harsh critic of our work, as only a dreadful English teacher can be. And I can say that as a former English teacher. She loved to raid the bathroom looking for cigarette smokers, who she, in a fury, would call fire-breathing dragons. My inner critic looks like a female version of Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Fortunately, she is defanged and domesticated and doesn't take up too much room anymore. And her silly voice makes me laugh. So that's just an offering today, to lighten up this whole thing that we're moving through, and knowing that we are always doing our own spiritual work in the midst of whatever is happening. And working on that inner critic can be very helpful in strengthening us for other challenges that come our way. And also to see a viewpoint that we may not be able to see otherwise. We can see God through humor. Our shortcomings are put into perspective. And when we're truly headed for the abyss, humor can pull us back. We can also use this knife to divide people, dividing groups to impose irrational hierarchies based on race, gender norms, abilities, class, family history, location, economic status, ad nauseum. We seem to be mad geniuses when it comes to division. We have to be aware of this use of the knife as well, this knife that we use to divide. Until we recognize and valorize diversity, we can never achieve justice, equality, and equity. This past week, we witnessed disturbing scenes of chaos and hatred, example after example of people turning the knife on others. A woman veteran was shot and killed. Her career as a heroic soldier was wiped out with her decision to invade the capital, to engage in violence and mayhem against the country she swore to protect and serve. She succumbed to that steady diet of lies and deceit. She could not drop the knife. I am deeply saddened by this, and my heart breaks. We have to remind ourselves that we too have taken a vow as spiritual people to never forget the principle of oneness. We know there is one source, one mind, one life. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, reminds us God is incarnated in all persons and individuals through all creation without loss of itself. It is omnipotent. It's never changing. It's the ever creative force that breathes life into everything. Nothing is left out of this. Everything is included in this creation. And it is also that ground of our being. We are called to be compassionate with everyone. Being compassionate also means holding one another accountable without rancor or hatred. Since its inception, this country has been in the process of becoming its highest ideal. That's what we've been engaged in. There were very good principles that were put into place at the founding of this country. They were ideas, high ideas that were inspired. So our inner work is vital, and it adds that vitality and that energy to this great experiment that we're engaged in. And we always keep our eyes on spirit. The 15th century Indian mystic, poet, saint Kabir writes, Rama, the Lord possessed me. Hari, the beloved Lord, has enchanted me. We are one with the divine. I'm going to ask us to turn within now and to do a short spiritual practice. And, I know that for me, I wish that I had these tools in my tool belt much younger. I could say that there were things that I did, but it takes time, it takes perseverance, it takes practice. And I guess I can't say that I didn't have them in my tool belt. I did. But it takes perseverance, and it takes persistence, and it takes a practice, a daily practice of reminding ourselves of all these teachings. And Reverend Jeffrey was telling us, yes, let's put our spiritual practice to work. Right now, it's absolutely necessary. And I'm telling you this as someone who is on this journey with you. And I know it's my experience that persistence pays off. I can feel my equanimity. And as I mentioned before, what happens is it just becomes a part of you. And you can go back to that place of peace much quicker when there's an upset than you can before. And we need this so that we can add our strength and vitality to creating the world we want to live in. So let's do this. This is the Heart Institute's practice of heart-focused breathing coherence. And it's a simple and easy to use technique. And let's just try it. So I'm going to invite you. You can do this with your eyes open or eyes closed. And, it's good to do it if you're at home and you can do this with your eyes closed, that's really great. But it's also, if you're out and about, you can do this with your eyes open. And it works just as well. Focus your attention in the area of your heart. Imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Find an easy rhythm. And make sure it's comfortable for you. Just breathe. And allow yourself to feel the energetic of caring or compassion. Let the feeling tone surround you. Radiate the feeling tone all around you, filling your mental atmosphere and personal space. And when you feel this meditative state, the energetic of calm or compassion, be open to the heart's intelligence and the expansive nature of the universe. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and come back. And I feel that right here, that presence, that expansive heart. And we can expand our heart to hold anything and everything. And we can melt away that hatred. And now let's turn within once more. I'm so grateful to recognize living spirit in this very moment, knowing that oneness is ever present. It is the power of the universe that holds all of creation together. That oneness is the energy of creation. It is the energy of love. It is the energy of every God quality that we know and feel at the very center of our being. And I am so grateful to be one with spirit, just as I know that each and every person in this meeting is one with spirit. And it goes much beyond that. We know that we are all one in spirit. There is nothing that is excluded. Everyone is a part of this. Everyone is on this journey with us as a outpicturing of the beauty of God. And I am speaking my word, knowing that oneness is the operative word here. This country was founded on the whole idea of we the people. We the people. We have the responsibility to each one of us to see the God in each one of us, to hold each one of us as the beloved, to make those corrections as we move forward with compassion and with caring, with knowing that we are on this spiritual vision and mission. It is truly that mission of creating heaven on earth. And I am so grateful for each and every person as we step into our work. We can do it in every kind of way. I know that there are people who, with a kind word, have changed the course of everything. I know that people who have given a helping hand have uplifted the spirit of not only a single person, but everyone. And I know that as we engage in this work collectively, that we are doing it out of great compassion and great love, that we are constantly filled by the power of spirit, because it is the ground of our being. It is who we absolutely are. And I know this to be true, and I speak it, knowing that it is already done. And we come together to say, and so it is.
Love